Hey, it's Don. Today we're going to look at something a little different. We're going to talk about a purchase that I made. I spent some money on this purchase. Mostly I like to buy from places that I can see the items at. I can see them in person. I know they're legit. There's no question about the condition and things like that. That's almost everything I buy, literally. There's no doubts on what I'm getting whenever I get anything. A lot of the items I get will come from somebody directly, like a picker or something along that line. I don't randomly source anything at all these days, pretty much, unless I'm out having fun or the wife and I are doing it for some enjoyment, which I do love sourcing in the wild. Unfortunately, I don't get to do it as much as I would like to. Now, this is going to be probably a two-parter here, only because we're going to cover some different things on here. Now, I sourced something online, and I picked eBay as a place to pick something out, only because you can see without a shadow of a doubt that I purchased it. You can see the price, again, without a shadow of a doubt. I don't want there to be any misconceptions or anything else like that. So I invested basically $1,400 and around $40 for some postcards. And you're going to see these in just a minute here. There'll be no doubt. Let me pick out one. No doubt whatsoever that this is the lot that we're talking about here. I got one upside down, it looks like. But they're very unique. We'll look at them much closer, but circus ones. I also think this is the one they make fun of in Family Guy, personally, with the acrobatic gymnasts and stuff. But anyway, I purchased this. I spent some money. We're going to hop over right now. We're going to look through these. I'm going to talk about them a little bit here. I'm also going to have these listed. We're not going to bore you with listing them or anything else like that, but we're going to talk a little bit about sourcing online today, sourcing from bigger auction houses and companies like that. So we are on eBay. This is my store. This is an item I won. You won this auction, just so you can see it down here. Now, I bought some postcards, and let me get down to where it's at. Now, there's no sense in hiding the actual seller's name, because at this point, obviously, I'm giving it to you. You can go and track the listing down and figure out who sold it. So I don't like to give out usually a seller's name, but in this case, if I tell you the items, you see the postcards, you can easily figure that out anyway. So this is a lot I purchased. That is the purchase price. A lot of those bids were mine, but at the end, we just said we'd just throw a huge amount on and be done with it, and the guy couldn't compete at that point from what I would say. It was much higher in my offer on this item, or the max I would pay, than what we paid for it. It's postcards of a circus-related folks. It's wrestlers in here as well. Now, I wouldn't have just lightheartedly hopped on. There's 53, I think, postcards in the entire lot. One's damaged. I knew this going into it. There are some photos down here. We'll show you my scans so you can see some scans of them instead of looking at it this way. They're all authentic. I know that because of the condition, the looks, and I've had 2 of these cards before. Something that I would look at. The other cards, the 2 that I had before, I spent some money on them, 40 or so bucks a piece. So, and this was a little while ago. They don't show up very often. We're going to hop over and we're going to go through the cards first. I'm going to list them, and then I'm going to do a second video going over them listed and give you some information on sales, on contacts, on people asking questions or making offers and things like that. We're going to give you every little step of what I can on this lot. Before we do that, though, I want to give you some warnings on stuff like this, some big warnings on this. If you can't see or touch the item, there is always a risk that something could go haywire and you could lose your money. Even with return options and things like that, the post office could deliver it outside your door. Even if a signature was supposed to be there, that can happen. You may not get it. So I'm just giving you a warning. This kind of stuff I would recommend going to a P.O. box only. Another reason why you should always have a post office box. Don't use your house for your business address. Never, ever, ever do that, in my personal opinion. If you can afford the $100 or so or whatever it is for a box, get a box. You don't have to get a big one. Just get a small letter-sized one. If you get a big package there, they usually put a little key like they do here or a card, and then you got to go up to the counter and get it. No big deal. That's what I would recommend. Don't have this shipped to your house. If it gets lost and it shows it was delivered, you could be SOL. There could be nothing you could do. So I'm giving you that warning. It's something, 100 other things could happen where you could be out the item and the money. So don't do this if you can't afford it. Second, as I said, if you don't know the value for sure, you don't know for sure what you could possibly get out of it, don't go more than you know you can get out of something. I don't know most of the cards in this lot here, though. I've only seen 2 of them, and both of them sold for some big bucks. I've looked at millions of cards, postcards in general, and I haven't seen but 2 of these cards. I look for circus ones. I track down circus collections when I can, sideshows. I do buy early sports postcards whenever I can get them. Baseball teams, wrestlers are in this one here. So you got to know something. If you don't know enough, don't go higher than your knowledge base. I'm not trying to offend or anything else like that. In areas, I won't go over what I don't know. I don't. This one in my book, I took a chance somewhat, only because I only can tell from 2 cards. Those 2 cards will get me 200 and some odd bucks. 240, 250, maybe even higher than that now. If I SEO and keyword them correctly, if I put a high bid on them, I could get 300 plus for just 2 of the cards. So I'm taking a chance that the rest of the cards in this lot are scarce. I've never seen them. There are real. They're not U.S. cards, though, for the most part. There's, I think, maybe 1 that could be possibly U.S., maybe 2. So I don't usually buy foreign cards, as I've said. But circus shows, sideshows, what they would call freaks, acrobats, strongmen. There's a circus group of people. Most of the European ones that were very well known back in those days, back in, say, 1880s, 90s, 1900, 1910, 20s, even into the 30s, traveled the globe. That's how they made money. Some people got promoters, and they promoted. So some of these folks would have performed over here. A third card in here, I knew who the person was, but I've never seen the price and did look it up. So I actually had a opportunity to say, yeah, there's a chance that this card is. Now, I couldn't find the same one that's in this collection here, so I was guesstimating, possibly. So I figure I at least got $400 or $500 in the ones that I figure I know about, out of 3 single cards out of all this. So the odds are in my favor that chances are the rest of the cards, even though I don't know anything about them, will be worth something. Some of these names I've tried to look up. They don't exist anywhere. I've looked in circus sites and all over the place. So they were obscures. There were hundreds of people going around and doing this back in the time frame, back then. So it wouldn't be odd for some small, obscure one to not be known over here. They may have been well known in Europe. European collectors of circus things are as ravenous as U.S. ones. So they probably are looking or have a service, or people will just search these types of things. We collect Weebles. The wife's got a huge collection. We search on many different foreign sites, including most of eBay's international sites. Another reason why I do look on eBay's other sites for stuff like that, as well as sometimes you can purchase from a foreign site, just like this instead of U.S., from a foreign one, import it yourself, take the risk, and get some big bucks on certain things. Because a lot of people don't look over there, U.S. resellers for one, and on top of that, they're nervous on importing, they don't trust folks as much. I take chances on stuff like that. I haven't been skunked yet. There are some other YouTubers who have tried to purchase things without knowing enough about them and lost $300, $400, $500, $600. I've seen the videos, so people have shared them with me. So this is, again, tying to a question on sourcing online. More than just one, many questions on just this exact topic here. So anyway, this is the cards here. This is the safety warnings I'm giving you. I can afford this. If I lose it, it's not going to kill me. It's not going to hurt me. I wouldn't want to lose that kind of money, but I'm not going to be SOL at all. The cards are here. They're in my hands. So let's hop over and let's go through them, talk about the cards. Next video, part 2, is going to be after I listed them. So there'll be a break. You'll see a couple other videos popping up between that probably. These are going to all go up as an auction, a 10-day auction. I'll cover that in the other video. I'll cover why I chose a 10-day auction in the video as well, as opposed to a bin for these. Again, these are rare. These are scarce. There may only be one of a kind on some of these. There may be no other known examples of these up. One thing I could do is I could send these in and have them PSA graded and, authenticated and the whole works also. That could garner me some more money. I could even send some of these to a physical auction and have somebody else auction them off. They might be pictured in a catalog or something else like that, but I'm not willing to mess with that. You know, at this point, I wanted to show an example, and if I split it up over a year, if I do these as a PSA and then send them into a high-end auction, it's going to be a year before I see that money. By that point, most people will have forgotten about this video, and it would be pointless to it. We're talking about the basics. We're just going to list these on eBay. So anyway, off we go. We're going to go look at these. Okay, so now I've saved these on a chip. These have been scanned. I took my time doing them. I scanned them at a high DPI. I will probably put a watermark on them, I would gather, at this point, which will take a few extra minutes to do them. I'll have to just blop something across the face of them where it's going to obscure it. We're going to go on into here. I'm going to have to turn a few of these, as you can see, but you can see the card very plainly, very clearly. It's got some wear on the edges. If they weren't these sorts of cards, I wouldn't have shelled out that kind of money for them. Again, $1,440 basically into them. Miramare, I don't know the names. I don't know most of these. You can kind of see that it's novelty, dance, acrobatics all together here. Some of the folks, too, you have to pay some close attention to, because I found that some of the ones shown are clearly the same people, but their names aren't mentioned on some of the cards. So let's just pop in. Oh, this one has a plain back. I'm still going to sell this one as a postcard, because at some points they were plain back. They were cheaper to only print on one side of the card, if you didn't know. And you can still use this as a postcard. You just write the to and from and stick a stamp on it. Nothing wrong with that. I've sold some this way. It's the exact size, 3.5 by 5.5. So it's almost assuredly a postcard with a blank back. You will see those. A lot of times with advertisements, they can use them and stamp an advertisement on it, or use it for a postcard, so they'll be blank backed. So again, this is the next one. They're not in quite order, but we're going to just look through them real quick. This one says Indian Equilibrists. They're not Native American as far as I can tell. A lot of folks would use that. There was a gentleman in the 1910-20s who pretended to be Chinese. That's really what he did. And even called himself by a Chinese name. He wasn't. I think he was British or something like that. He was of no whatsoever Chinese background. He had no Chinese blood in him whatsoever. Now this is another one that was in there. Sometimes it's not going to be a postcard. This isn't a postcard. But this is the Troupe Diablo. So this one's pretty interesting here. I think it says Paris down here, if I'm reading it correctly, which I'm pretty sure I am. Souvenir of the Troupe Diablo, Paris. And that's, I think CE maybe or something like that. I don't know what this first is here. 7112, 1916. It's probably 112, 1916, and that's going with this part here. Maybe it's a time. Either way, excellent. I'm going to track these down. I'm going to have to dig into some of these, into some reference books that I won't find online. I've already done some preliminaries on these. That one was a photo. Let me go back and just flip it while we're doing this. Now, this one's pretty interesting. This one might be an American one. It's a comedy, performers. It seems like they do acrobats. I found one single mention of them in a single book. So, Comedy Jumper. They do all types of skits with acrobatics. Back then, acrobatics were huge. So again, this card here could be worth $300 or $400. It's things that just don't show up. Now, it has a foreign back on it. It was made for English-speaking markets, so some of these probably were in England, and they did make their way here. Oops, I'm kind of clicked too many. Yeah, here we are, back to here. It's a French postcard, as you can see. Troupe Orestes, acrobatic comic is basically what it says. I'm sure this is probably Italian. A bunch of them were Italian. But you can see the routines right off the bat. I've never seen anything like these, other than in a book. And they were poster advertisements. So, again, I'm taking a shot on these. I just want you to see them. As I said, we'll list them, and I'll do another video after they're listed. Some of these, I do believe, are autographs and signatures from some of the folks, from what I can see. I'm not 100% this one will stay in this direction because I want them to be able to read it. Now, this one has a big hole in it. I bet you I will still get over $100 for this card, hole in it or not. I could get a couple $100 for even some of these damaged ones. It's got the location. It's in Geneva, I guess, or Genevieve, Switzerland, Swiss, it says. So Interesting card. Again, it's got a hole in it, but I'm still expecting hundreds from some of these. You can see the damage on the back. I could fill it. I could repair it, but I don't know if I really want to do that. I'm going to think about that one, though. But anyway, here's another troop. These are acrobats, again, equilibrists, if that's how it's pronounced. Excellent cards. Again, I want you to look at these so you can see what to look for. These types of cards are insanely scarce. I've never run into these. I think I got the border off, or I chipped it or trimmed it just a hair too much on that one. But another acrobatic group, I would gather, by the way, in the looks of it, the costumes, the outfits for sure. It's interesting. Apollo Bourgeois, Les Revue Marvelous. Now, this name was in a couple of the other ones, so it's possible that it's just Marvelous, or that it could have some relationships to it too. I looked at these cards. I looked at this auction for probably, again, it looks like I've got a border issue here. I'll have to possibly correct that. But I looked at this listing over and over. I probably spent at least an hour looking into stuff before I put any bids on this lot here as well too. So I took my time and due diligence. I wasn't sure. And even as the price got up and up and up and went over 1,000, I went back again and spent another 30 minutes deciding and digging into some of the names even further. Another blank back. 5.5 by 3.5, so it is a postcard. Now, this gentleman here, you'll see again in another one. He is a wrestler as well. He's got a nickname. It is damaged, but I would gather I would still get 25 or so bucks, maybe more, for this damaged card. This is the damaged one, the worst one in the lot. Oops, darn it. Did it again. Let me go back here. Part of the reason I'm thinking I might do even better than that, though, is because it looks like the guy's name is right here. So this might actually have been written in his own hand. And it's got some information here that's pre-printed. So this is an advertising card on top of it. And it's got the mention of a trio, some other performances, it looks like to me. So it's possible. I don't speak Italian, and it looks like it might be in Italian. So it's very possible that this is his autograph. There are autographed, 100% confirmed autographs in here from every aspect I can find. This is the same person here, too. This is him throwing this gentleman. He was a wrestler. He's considered a wrestler. He's Italiano. He's from Italy. I believe that would be his date of birth, 1876, or a record that he won. I'm not really sure which. I haven't dug into it that much. I knew the name already, so I've run into earlier items. Advertising, I've run into some print ads for folks and things like this. So you can see it's from an Italian town, Bologna. So it's a good one. The back somebody's drawn on, but that's fine. I don't care. It's not going to hurt it. It can't be erased. Looks like literally train tracks with somebody drawing like grass. But anyway, let's move on to the next one here. If you ever see stuff like these images from this era, I mean, this is why I have to do this as a auction. Because I have no idea. They're taking off of Annie Oakley and Wild Bill would be my guess of some sort. That's obviously supposed to be Annie Oakley. And it's not, obviously, the Rois, I'm not sure how it's pronounced, but the Best Balancing Act. The World's Wonder. Again, they're not claiming anything. They're throwing axes and juggling and all sorts of things. You just don't see these cards. There's potential that some of these cards could go for $800, $1,000 on their own. Now, why wouldn't the auction have went for that much? Well, it's hard to advertise them and put all these names in there. Nowhere out there, if the person is only looking for the names of the performers they collect, could they have found them by going to this auction that I purchased. So that's one of the only things. Again, I don't hardly ever purchase anything from eBay to resell because chances are it's been picked through and everything else these days. The majority of the folks that I know who buy lots and stuff it's hit and miss. And some of them have been taken for hundreds of dollars and couldn't do anything about it. So just FYI. Again, the interesting back. It's a foreign back. Probably Italy as well. Here's another one. Now this one, after I got it, I did look into it a little more. It's a well-known artist and comedian and vocalist and a bunch of other stuff. That's his autograph. That's a real autograph from everything I can see and say on this one. That is the real deal. So this is like poster art as well, too. You can see he's kind of hidden back there. It's got a silhouette. He's behind a screen, and then he may come out and pretend to be somebody else. That's what I'm guessing it is. Again, typical foreign back on this one. It's in English. It's a British manufacturer. Most British performers of this time and frame would probably have been in the U.S. as well and toured just like anything else. Now, this gentleman here you're going to see again in just a moment here. And this is a stage shot show with them doing some skit or celebrating. Gentleman open wide. Again, I don't know what's with the sideburns, but it's rather interesting. It's supposed to be a comical thing. You see the little bellboy down there. Now, it's got his name right here. Acrobats, jugglers. Again, so it says everything I need. I don't care what language it's in. I'm keeping it this way so you can see their stamp. Now, this name right here is this gentleman right here who as well has autographed it. So again, that is his name. He's autographed it. He's dated. I'm not sure what kind of greeting that is, but either way, it's an interesting one. Now, this gentleman here, too, there is some information online. So here's the same again, the same company, once again, same name, same name. So these all go together. If you notice, I've actually scanned them in order. So when I scanned all these, I put them in order of you know, how I'm going to list them. And this is all in English again, British. So it's a British advertising postcard. Let's keep on moving here. Again, another one, Craig's Trio, Troop. Any of those names are things that I always look for as well. The only act of its kind. Sometimes you'll see performers that's separated too, so that's another aspect of it. Again, I'm going to have to track down to make sure some of these aren't autographs, because they could very well be autographs. You can see the type of stamp and where it's been sent to. It's in London, so they saw them in England. Another one here, comedian transformist. Sometimes they would perform like cross-dressing and things like that. Those are super, super expensive. Maxwell Trio, this one says right up at the top. So sometimes you can find other names or other aspects of it. They might be a group member of it, but also perform on their own. So you got to understand that too with some of these performers. So let's move on through here. You can pause this and look at any of these a little closer if you want. You can go back and look at the auction on eBay as well. So just FYI. Again, acrobatics, perfect example. I mean, look at the graphics on this. This is them traveling, I guess it's supposed to indicate, but a lot of times you might see an adult with a child or something along that line. It's not odd for back then. I'm not saying anything weird was going around, but that's something you'll see. Yeah, I definitely got a setting or something not quite right. This one's got a little bit of damage, but look at the imagery. I'm assuming they act and recreate statues in real life is what I would say. I could be wrong. Creation Day, genre, I'm not sure, but that's my guess on this one here. Again, some of these could be from the actual performers on the front. I haven't dug into this enough, but you can kind of see Casino Algiers, 1912. So, I mean, these are very historic. Now, this one has an American flag on it, but they're definitely not American performers. That's why I say a lot of these performers, chances are, made their way over here and did performances. So there will be collectors universally from across the globe on these items. If I don't do these as an auction, I could easily be losing some aspects of it. I may, put too low on it and not and underestimate the amount of people that may be looking for certain aspects like this. Circus items can go for some phenomenal prices. As I said, we've seen personally cards go for $800-900 a piece in the circus genre. Again, another one. Now this is the person here. Barry Lipno is the actual performer here. I guess he's like a strongman wrestling giant, and this is his manager. Why the manager's name would be larger than the performer is beyond me, but again, British card, halfpenny, very obvious. Inland, usually if you see inland, it's a British, sometimes possibly could be Canadian. Now, I think those two were tied together, but I'm not 100% sure. This, again, looks like a comedian extraordinaire. It looks like a jester's silhouette here. He's a giant, I would say, as well, or a big gentleman. Italian as well. Again, I don't care about the country on these at all. This is an RPPC. Macwell and Son Trio. Now, we had one that says Maxwell. Maybe it said Macwell. I'll have to go back and double check, but one of these could have been the impersonator in that other card that we showed you just a few moments ago. But I do think some of these are the same one, and I didn't realize that till after I actually took it, but some of these, again, trying to find information on them is going to be fairly hard on some of these, but it does appear to be some of these are the same performer. Now, this is the back of the next one first. Little corner fold. I think I actually scanned it twice. Yeah, I did, to try and fix that corner there. You got to be careful. It was my mistake. It was damaged when it went through there. Now, here's another interesting one, obviously. Now think of the potential. Each one of these, at least $100 is my hopes. At least the non-damaged, destroyed ones. Again, some of these are describing the location. Some of these could be written by the folks performing in here. Some of the groups could have actually changed their name at some point. So, and you can see it's all datable, 1912. Automobile, something automobile. That's pretty interesting. So I might dig into this. I have a friend who might be able to translate it. My sister-in-law stayed in Italy for I don't know how many years when they were in the military. So another one here. I think this is like the ones from Family Guy, that type of thing here, because it's got that typical strongman. I think this is going to be one of the more expensive cards here as well. This is what you want. This is every bit of top end, rarest of the rare postcards from circus, sideshow, acrobatics, and jugglers. So, and again, it might be their autograph on the back. It's very hard for me to say for sure. Compliment the man, Harry. So again, that's what I'm saying. It looks like it's compliments. Like it's one of the people in this. And if they are autographs here, boy, that's a good one. Here's another interesting one here. Again, it's probably the Trio Fiero of Blanca. Again, they look similar. It's kids. It could be a family. That was very popular, something that happened all the time in the circus industry. Another interesting one. Now, these are little people. They're I don't know what would be the correct term. I don't want to be offensive at all. They would have been called dwarfs back then. Lilliput is another thing. Princess of Lilliput. Now, that's probably not what she is. They made up fanciful names and things like that, too. So, again, I need to look up some of these. Some of these information, some of the statements and writing on here could be the people's actual own autograph. These could be promotional items sent to people by the actual performers. It could be sent to, like, a producer or something along that line. So I'm going to spend a little time before I do it. And again, right here, it looks like maybe attraction of some kind. That's the term attraction. So it might be an advertising from their promoter or something. Another interesting one here. Orist and Argus. Again, acrobatics. And I think there's two from this same one here, if I'm not mistaken. So let's pop on down. Yeah, I think this is the same two. I've looked at it very closely. Small child, the features, everything. So I'm almost sure this is the same one doing a skit. Obviously, the adult would be far easier to pick up a child like that due to weight than it would be like a jockey on a horse. He might not be young. They might just portray him that way. It's got some more information on the back. I'll have to track that down and tie it together a little bit. Another one. Same people, as you can see, Orist and Argus. So they were well known. They did a bunch of things. And it's an Italian postcard. You can tell by the back. It's early. You can tell by the back. Now, this name I was able to find after I got home and spent a little extra time digging into it. So this one's a known group. This one should do extremely well. I didn't know that when I bought it, though, just FYI. I judged it on the few I saw. Here's another named group. These acrobats, those are the ones that'll do the best. Again, it may be signed by some of them on the back. Yeah, I say that because Batteria, it could be ballerina, or it could be something tied to them. I'll have to dig up some of this information here. Now, this is a well-known one. This is like one of the first actual wrestler cards you will find. This guy is very, very well-known. He was small, short stature. That's hence the little Hackenschmidt battling Banton. This card was one of the ones that I knew about. So anyway, this one's worth at least $100 no matter what. And this is the other one right here. These folks are well known. I've had other items by them from the Victorian era as well. So this is a well-known group. Chung Ling He Troupe is who this is right here. So, and you'll see this one go for at least $100 every single time. They were Chinese, I do believe, unlike some of the other ones that you'll run into. So, hence, this is well sought after. Unfortunately, this one wasn't signed. If this one was signed, it probably had hundreds and hundreds to it. Here's another one here. The Deal's original Melange Act. I'm sure it's maybe a mix of music and acrobatics at the same time. Interesting card again. You can tell it's Italian as well. These are the only types of foreign cards I usually buy. Nos Artistes, Les Guerres. I don't know French. I couldn't tell you what it says, but If anybody's willing to offer some translations on any of these, of course, I'd be more than happy to take them. Now, this was an interesting one as well. It's the child. She was actually an actress, if I'm not mistaken, on this one as well. Somebody who will be fairly well known in different outfits and the whole works. It's an interesting card. Foreign as well. I think this would probably be a British one, too. So they probably performed over here. Now, this is another one that I was able to track down one single reference of this. And it's Mephistopheles, the devil, basically, Diablo. It's telling where they're going to be at. This one's a primo-looking one. If this was a poster that I found, a poster like this would be worth thousands, would be my guess. Again, I can't judge on a correct price on these. I'd have to put $1,000 or better. And I think in some cases, as I said, I rarely do auctions, but I think this is one of the cases where it would be due diligent to do that. This is one of the troops. I'm going to have to track this one down a little. There again, there's the name Oriental Trio. No idea why they're calling it that, but that's an interesting one as well. Another one. This gentleman, I believe, is an actor. He changes character and pretends to be old and young and speaks in different dialects and things like that. Another Italian card. Again, another one. Here's another troupe. The Toma, I guess, is their name. Variety, Adler, I guess, Act. That's Wilhelm Schaffen, I guess. That's their actual names. De Toma, family De Toma. Another Italian, so they're an Italian circus family. Again, it might be their names on the back. I'm going to have to dig into this a little better. In fact, I probably should read it so I can... Yeah, see, Giorgio De Toma. So the actual folks are the ones who sent this card out. So this is an autographed one. So I say all of these could be autographed. This could be one of the best purchases I've had in probably the last couple months. Has a little damage on this one. I'm still expecting it to do well. La Stella di Napoli, Troupe, Napoli, the Casino de Paris. So this is the Casino Paris Italian card. We're almost through them. I know for some of you this may not be as interesting. Farabani is an actor, and I believe that is him. He's known for playing like vampire or something like that. Interesting one for sure. And I think that is who that is. Everything else matches up with the ones. Now this one is one of the other groups. This one is this group right here, that same two people. You can tell I spent some time looking at it. Sometimes they have younger images like this one here. This is Art Nouveau border. I've looked at it closely, mustaches, comparison, and the whole works. And I'm very sure it's just a younger version of these two here. That's how I'm going to market it. I truly believe that too. So again, it might be them. It might be actually them. If you look at some names down here, Wundersheim, Miller, last name right there. So again, what's the name on here? It's hard to say. It's hard to say, but I feel that a lot of these other ones could be autographs. Now this one here should do extremely well also. Sisters Right, Premier Lady Trick Cyclists. Excellent card here as well. Probably British would be my guess on this one here. Looks like a German one. This one I have no clue, so this one's going to take some doing to track it down. Excellent card, though. I just wished I knew who it was. Unfortunately, I don't. There is some faint writing, so I may still be able to determine it by what's written on the back. This one I'm up in the air on. Do not know who that is. Some of these I won't be able to sell. I do think it's a possibility that it's this girl here. Not 100%, but it is a possibility. There is something printed. Is that what's just on the front? Yeah, that's just what's on the front of this one. This one's named, I believe she is a performer, acrobat as well. Interesting card. It does have a little more information down there, which may help. Amore Kaj. Again, I don't know. I don't know enough about it, but I believe that's probably from the performer. Busby the Clown. You can probably find some information on that one. It was attached. I did have to carefully remove it. This is the best I can do. Now this one here is an actual photo. That is a photograph that has been attached to a card. And it's obviously theirs because, again, there is the name. So they made their own postcard, basically, out of just a blank card. Next part up for this specific one will be a few videos apart. So I'll have a couple other videos up Then I will have these after they're listed, after they have been sold. For probably in about 2 weeks, these should have been run their course. The auctions will be done, and we'll see what happens with them. You can follow them as I list them if you wish as well. You can just look at what I've got listed new. You can save them, follow them, whatever you want. But we'll do a follow-up video on these items here. You'll see if I made my money back, if I made a profit, or whatever the case may be. They are all going to be listed at the same time, so they'll be done one shot and over as well.